of the 10th of July. The first item on the agenda is election of chair for 25-26. Could I have a nomination, please?
Can I?
Karen?
Sorry, put my hand up before I spoke. I'd like to nominate Andrew Lewis as chair.
Okay, thank you. Any other nominations? No? In that case, could I take a vote, please, for Councillor Andrew Lewis being elected chair for 25-26? Just show of hands. Thank you. That's unanimous. I'll hand over to Councillor Lewis.
Thank you, Alison, and thank you to the Public Services Board for your continued support. Now go to item 2 on the agenda, election of Vice Chair for municipal year 25-26. Do I have any nominations, please? Karen?
I'd like to nominate Roger, if he's happy to continue.
Okay, that's great. Any seconders for that?
Tom.
Yes, I'll second.
Yeah, Mark, thank you. Any other nominations? No. All those in favour of Roger Thomas as Vice Chair of the Swansea Public Services Board, show your hands, please. Again, that's unanimous. Thank you all very much. So before we go to apologies for absence, I think it might be useful for us to do a quick round-robin introduction in the room. So I'm Councillor Andrew Lewis, Chair of the Swansea Public Services Board and Joint Deputy Leader of Swansea Council. And I'll go around my screen as I can see you. So Alison.
Hi, I'm Alison Lowe. I'm the Democratic Services Officer.
Caroline.
Sorry, Caroline's doing the stream, so she can't speak. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. Leanne.
Hi everybody, I think you all know me by now. My name is Leanne Ahern, I'm the PSB Support Officer.
Thanks, Leanne. Richard?
Yeah, afternoon everyone. I'm Richie Vaughan-Williams. I'm the Deputy Head of Operational Response in Southern Swansea Division, Mid and West Wales Fire, and I'm standing in for our Chief Fire Officer, Roger Thomas, today.
Thank you, Richard. Ness?
Hi, I'm Ness Young. I'm Director of Corporate Services at Swansea Council and I'm the Strategic Lead for Step 2 Human Rights City.
Caris? Or Caris, I should say.
Afternoon, Caris Miles. I'm Director of Communities, Partnerships and Prevention for the South Wales Police and Crime Commissioner.
Thank you, Caris. Karen?
Afternoon, everyone. I'm Karen Stapleton, Deputy Director of Planning and Partnerships, Swansea Bay Health Board, also Strategic Lead for Step 1.
Thank you. Amy?
Afternoon, everyone. I'm Amy Richmond-Jones and I'm the Engagement Planning and Performance Manager for the Fire Service.
Thank you. Mark Sabine?
Hi, everybody. I'm Mark Sabine. I'm the People and Places Team Leader for the South West Place, representing Natural Resources Wales. I also sit on our Operational Management team.
Thank you. Mark Wade?
Afternoon, everyone. Mark Wade, I'm Director of Place at Swansea Council and I'm the Strategic Lead on Step 5, which is developing the integrated cultural offer for Swansea.
Thank you. Mark Davis?
Yeah, afternoon. Mark Davis, Consultant of Public Health and Medicine at Swansea Bay Health Board, here on behalf of Jill Richardson as Director of Public Health for Swansea Bay Health Board.
Thank you. And last but by no means least, Hannah.
Thank you. Hannah Wolf, Deputy Director Support for Learners in the Welsh Government. So here as a Welsh Government representative.
Excellent. Thank you all. So we'll go to item 3 now. Apologies for absence. Alison.
Yeah, we've got quite a few apologies, Chair. Apologies from Steve Spill, Marie Davis, Roger Thomas, Amanda Carr, Howell Manley, Rob Stewart, Chief Superintendent Steve Jones and Dr. Gillian Richardson.
Okay, thank you. So then on to item 4, any disclosures of personal or prejudicial interest? Indicate now. No interests, thank you. So we'll go on to item 5, the minutes of the previous Swansea Public Services Board meeting. First of all, for accuracy, is everybody happy that they're an accurate and true record? Yeah, right. Okay, that's marvellous. And now on to public question time.
We've not received any public questions, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Alison. And so we go on then to items for discussion decision and approval. So item 7 is the updates on the 5 steps in our Public Service Board Action Plan 25-26. And I'll come to Karen first for an update on the transforming early years services across Swansea. Karen, over to you.
Thank you. As you can see, this time we've got quite a comprehensive plan for early years, which we are all on track with. We held our first Swansea Bay and Swansea Local Authority Early Years Steering Group meeting a couple of weeks ago, where we firmed up these actions. And at the moment, everything's on track. So there's nothing to report off track. And I hope to keep it that way as we progress through the year. I wasn't going to go into any detail. The detail's there, but I'm happy to take any questions. I think the main focus for this year, especially through our steering group we set up now, is to basically extend the transformation, support some of the good work we know is going on. And we reviewed a lot of that good work at the workshops we had back in March, the system workshops. And from that has come our action plan. And yeah, I think it's a strong action plan that really looks at developing the good work we're doing between our multi-agency teams to move the current offer for early years and their families and try and extend that across the region. That is the main remit of the action plan this year. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Karen. It's great to note the good progress that's been made. Any questions for Karen? No? Appreciate the update and good to hear things are on track. So we'll go then to building on Swansea as a human rights city, and I'll come to Ness Young.
Thanks, Chair. Pleased to provide an update on step 2. So we've made good progress in the first quarter of 25-26. The self-assessment framework has been drafted, and that'll help all the partners evaluate how well we're embedding the human rights-based approach in our policies and services. So the framework is now going to the stakeholder panel for co-design, ensuring inclusive input from across the partnership. So we've made a start, but we're continuing that work with the panel. In parallel, we're making progress in achieving WHO age-friendly city status. So the baseline data on our ageing population is being compiled at the moment, and we have some stakeholder workshops that have helped draft an implementation plan. We've also commissioned a marketing company to help develop an age-friendly Swansea website, which is one of the 3 core criteria that we have to meet for the accreditation. We're also embedding the rights-based thinking into frontline practice. So we've got some human rights booklets being promoted across probation, both in the community and in custody settings, along with posters, peer-led discussions. All of that is helping to embed the approach, particularly in processes such as MAPA and MARAC. And then in the first quarter, between April and June, we delivered 9 safeguarding sessions for third sector organisations, representatives working directly with vulnerable people. So some really good improvements there in training access and helping to build confidence and awareness across the sector. In terms of our KPIs, we're on track. It is the first quarter, but at the moment we feel we're on track to hit those by the year end. And in summary, I think we've made some really good progress in the first quarter. Happy to take any questions, Chair.
Thank you, Ness. Again, good to see the good progress. And I had the opportunity to meet 2 members of the Ageing Well community that attend that. And, it was really positive feedback from them. So really good to hear that. Any questions for Ness? No, the good progress is noted. So we'll go then to working towards Swansea's net zero target and nature recovery. And we have Mark Sabine, and we also have Jane Richmond with us. So I'm not sure who's going to take the lead on this item. Over to you.
I'll do it if Mark's happy for me to do that today. Thank you very much, Chair. So just in this last quarter, we have we've had the technical report delivered. We've pulled together the strategy, of which the PSB members have seen in its first draft. We've had some incredibly useful comments back from members. We've been collating all of those and putting those together. We are ready now, well, almost tomorrow, to send out this latest version, having taken into consideration all the comments, and we are on course. Then hopefully we agreed that we would have it back from partners again by agreement, by email, by the end of July, so that we can get it through our different organisations, ready for some sort for a launch in September. We're doing this obviously because we've had quite a lot of interest from the community wanting us to get on with this piece of work, if you like. So we pushed this through. The action plan is going to take longer. However, we put forward 8 actions to take forward for this year, including just continuing to develop that action plan. We've had 147 actions from Welsh Government from their climate adaptation strategy, and we have 150 from the people of Swansea, and it's quite a big task to marry them up and to make sure that they work. So we're trying to do that at the moment, and partners have taken on parts of that action plan to help out with that piece of work, which I'm very pleased to say. Other actions within that, the Community Council Toolkit, I will be presenting a draft of that to the Community Council meeting on the 29th of September. I'm busy pulling that together. That will be in 2 parts. One will be about carbon reporting. The second will be about emergency planning. And the other action that we've been looking at is we had a really good first emergency planning meeting on Monday, hosted by by Fire and Rescue, and emergency planners from all 4 partners. It appears that the Resilience Forum are doing some sort of review at the moment, and there's not been too much action, but what they're going to do is make sure that climate risks are part of the local Resilience Forum risks that they identify as well. And as part of our community resilience piece of work, we will be working on ensuring that we've all got lots of actions, we've all got lots of information out there, but one of the things that was very much highlighted in those workshops is people just don't know where to look. So we're going to do a piece of work to collate a lot of that, make sure that and to signpost and to let the people of Swansea know where to find that information about trying to be resilient within the community, and the small actions that they can do, but also where they can go for help when something happens. So that's where we've got to so far. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Jane. Incredible amount of work going on this step, so very much appreciated. Any questions for Jane? No? Okay, great. Well, we'll hear more from Jane on one of the other items. So we'll move then to making Swansea safer, more cohesive and prosperous. Richard, are you leading on this item on behalf of Roger and David? I think, have we lost Richard?
Frozen. I think we may have done.
Yeah. Well, we can come back to Richard when he comes back to us. I'll move on to, I think we've lost him. We'll wait for him to rejoin in a bit. So we'll move on to Mark Wade's step, which is developing Swansea's integrated cultural offer. Mark, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, just a quick update from me on step 5. Main activity centres around the finalising and development of a cultural strategy for Swansea. Lots and lots of work ongoing there in terms of pulling the strategic aims and objectives together with a view then to getting cabinet approval and the strategy published by the end of March. Lots and lots of work ongoing around development of the action plan that supports that strategy as well, which is going to be delivered annually with partners. So my thanks to colleagues in Tracy McNulty's area for their work on that. Linked to that is expansion of the cultural programming. Again, lots of work ongoing around ensuring accessible community-led events across Swansea, an increasing number of events being put on and engaged with, linked to a launch of the Creative Swansea website. So in terms of activity and progress in that area, a working forum with Swansea grassroots music venues is underway, as well as then the launch of the website that I'd mentioned there in relation to Swansea. Creative Swansea rather. And then moving on to the West Wales Regional Sports Partnership, in a transition year on that at the moment. So colleagues and partners are working on the partnership agreement with Sport Wales during the transition year, and that is aiming to put together an overall strategy again for completion by the end of March 2026, all around increasing participation and accessibility to sporting events to assist well-being. Strengthening Welsh language, again, work ongoing around increased visibility and use of Welsh in tour and visitor experiences, and an increasing Welsh language presence at our events generally. And in the update section, there's some details of events there which have secured that improvement. In terms of key performance indicators, then safe to say that it's a work in progress. This piece, this area of work around measures, but lots and lots of focus on increasing the metrics around participation in cultural and sporting activity across the county borough. So lots and lots of positive things happening in this area and this step currently. And it's becoming increasingly apparent there's such a very strong link between culture, sport and health and well-being, as well as then economic development and prosperity as well. And the creative industries and creative network that is being very, very strongly embedded in Swansea is very, very positive, and signposting its ability to link into economic development, I think is a really, really strong for this city and for the wider region as well. So that's my update, Chair. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mark. And in terms of the cultural offer and the tourism offer feeding into the economic development in the city and the region, absolutely. We just had Wales National Air Show, which was really, really well attended and supported. Just a great example of that. And of course, other things going on in this sector, which are really positive. Any questions for Mark? No? Okay. Richard, we'll come back to you if that's okay for the making Swansea safer, more cohesive and prosperous. Are you happy to give an update on behalf of Mid and West Wales Fire and Rescue Service?
By all means, thank you, Chair. Okay, in terms of step 4, I guess one thing to mention in terms of community engagement was the Community Safety Village event that was held as part of the Firefighters Challenge. That was on the 7th of June in Swansea Marina. Really very good feedback from that event, particularly in and around the opportunity to engage with members of the public in a bit of a different way. And that was on a variety of numerous safety and advisory sort of subjects. Very well attended, with around about 400 members of public and plenty of partner agencies also involved in that, various stalls and different activities going on. And in terms of some content, something like 40 children's quizzes completed and goodie bags given away, with electrical safety being a prominent theme throughout the actual event itself. Moving on to sort of strengthening multi-agency community safety teams. City centre premises currently is under construction. CSP occupation anticipated around about autumn 25. Work is ongoing with partners to collate, share and understand community safety data to improve service delivery. And then we're looking at action 3 in terms of the schools programme, which continues across South Wales Police. The dedicated police officers, now entitled Youth Engagement Officers, continue to work closely with those schools involved. And then finally, advice from South Wales Police in terms of designing out crime officers is now included on Swansea LDP guidance documentation. And that's the update from me, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Richard. Any questions for Richard? No, appreciate the update and glad to hear that the event went really well. So we'll come then to item 8 on the agenda, and I have had a note from Jane. Sadly, Jane Richmond has had to leave for another meeting. However, she did say that the draft of the mitigation and adaptation plan will be coming out tomorrow with the latest iteration of that. And for review and agreement. So nothing further to update for the PSB today on that. So we'll move on then to item 9, which is the Public Services Board Grant 2025-26, the current position and the next steps. I think, Ness, you're going to take us through this item.
No problem, Chair. So this item provides an update on the current status of the PSB grant allocation for 25-26, and it outlines things that we've already confirmed, and then says a bit about proposed initiatives, and then recommends a kind of process of finalising the spend decisions so that we can ensure we can spend the money wisely and in good time. So the grant for the year is £58,440. So and it's split equally between Swansea and Neath Talbot PSBs. So we obviously get £29,220 in Swansea, and it must be used according to the terms and conditions set out in the schedule. So that specifically is that the grant can only be used to strengthen community engagement and involvement, support the maintenance of an existing data portal, and it's important to note that activities such as general partnership support, project delivery, permanent staffing aren't eligible under this grant scheme. So at the moment, we've already committed 9,000 of the 29,000 in respect of maintaining the regional data portal, supporting the PSB partnership forums, and one seminar workshop has already been committed also. So the report talks about a number of proposals that are in kind of development, including translation of the adaptation and mitigation strategy to ensure inclusive access, creation of a PSB website, production of BSL, British Sign Language versions of key documents, and then the potential for a further seminar workshop session around placemaking. And just to expand on that a little bit, I've been in touch with a consultant who's done some work with Cardiff PSB to help them to identify potential areas for further collaboration, and the reports back from Cardiff have been very positive, and that work has led them to identify some really tangible activities for the future. And so looking at whether something similar would be helpful to us as a PSB as we prepare for years 4 and 5 of our wellbeing plan. So we know we've got the plan for 25-26, but this would be very much about building on what we've done in the first 3 years to say what areas could we make the greatest impact on in years 4 and 5. So I'm in discussion at the moment exploring that as an opportunity, and so there'll be more information on that forthcoming. But those are the potential areas for spend, and so the PSB is being asked today to note the current confirmed expenditure and the proposed allocations, that we endorse the continued development of the highlighted proposals, and finally to delegate authority to Andrea Lewis as the chair to approve the final allocations following consultation with statutory partners. Final thing to say is there's no additional financial, legal or governance implications arising from the report. So with that, I open it up for questions and endorsement of the recommendations, hopefully.
Thank you, Ness. It's really particularly pleasing to see how accessible we're trying to make the PSB in terms of BSL and Welsh translation. I'm really heartened to hear that. Any questions for Ness? No questions. So then we need to endorse the proposals. Is everyone happy with the proposed way forward? Yeah, great. Okay, thank you very much, Ness. That's endorsed.
Good.
So we'll go to the item 10, which is the Swansea PSB response to the Future Generations Commissioner's 2025 report. Ness, do you want to take us through this one?
Yeah, no problem. So this item provides an update on our progress in preparing that response to the Future Generation Commissioner's 2025 report and outlines our proposed approach for submitting that response by the deadline of the 31st of October. So the Commissioner's report made a number of recommendations for PSBs and other public bodies across 6 areas: climate and nature, health inequalities, cultural well-being, food resilience, well-being economy, and budgeting for future generations. And the recommendations focus on the need for long-term thinking, better data, and stronger community engagement. And they call on all PSBs to embed the 5 ways of working more consistently and to prioritise prevention and collaboration in our wellbeing objectives. So in response, we've taken the following steps. So a briefing note has been circulated to all PSB members summarising the recommendations. We have invited feedback from partners to inform our collective response, and we're proposing that we use existing materials that we've produced as a PSB, such as our annual report, to support our evidence base. And we're aiming, as I say, for that final response to be submitted using a Microsoft Forms questionnaire, using the 6-point scale that the Commissioner has given us, ranging from adopted to more information needed. So we're aiming to do that for under each recommendation. So for today, what we're asking the board to do is to note the actions we've taken so far, to endorse the approach that we're proposing to use, namely using existing source materials, and to encourage PSB partners to give us their views so that we can make sure that our response is as rich as possible. And that we agree that the final draft response will be shared with the board for review before submission, and that may be done via email rather than through the requirement for a formal board meeting. And just to finally say, there are no additional financial, legal or governance implications arising from the report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ness. So there are some actions there for us, to submit comments and additions to Ness so that the report can be then finalised and submitted. Any questions, Karen?
Thanks. I can't recall seeing that. I know Leanne would have sent it out, that summary Ness you're referring to. I think we get a lot of stuff that we coming through. So
we do.
We'll make sure we pick it up now, because there's clearly some actions where you're going to want help to input, particularly where it talks around clinical pathways and things like that in there. So can I just check the time scales? Because I mean, obviously we're doing a similar response, looking at the health board and what relates to us, taking that through our board in September for the end of October submission of this, isn't it? So what time scales are we working to get back to the PSB, please?
I think Leanne may want to come in here, but we'll certainly recirculate the summary of the recommendations to you. And I think if we could ask for all comments to come back to us by the end of August at the very latest, that will give us time to then pull that together into a final draft, to circulate it by email to PSB partners, and for us to be able to submit by the 31st of October. Leanne, do shout if I've got those dates wrong.
No, that's great. That'd be great if everybody could do that. Thanks.
Thanks, Leanne. Thank you, Ness. Any further questions? No, so the actions are noted there to be taken. Thank you, Ness, for the update. So we go then to item 11. It's for information, but it's regarding the Public Services Board Partnership Forum on the 24th of July. Is there anything you need to add to that, Ness?
Only to, I think we've got room for 50 people at this event, and I think we've already got 40 registered, which is fantastic, but there are still 10 places. So if partners would like to encourage others to attend, then please do, because we always like to have a full house.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really positive as well. Hopefully we'll hit the target of 50. So thank you for that. And we will then go to our final item, which is feedback from the Walking in Shoes session, which was held on the 17th of June 2025 and was led by Natural Resources Wales. I don't know, Mark, if you have any update for us today, or if members wish to comment on the event. Mark?
I can tell you a bit about it, if that would be helpful.
That would be great.
Yeah, sure. So it was literally a walking in our shoes event. We started off at the Civic Centre and we worked our way to Secrets Cafe. And we arranged for a number of our colleagues to come and talk to the Public Service Board as we went at strategic locations. And we wanted to try and, I guess, bring our work to life and use examples along the route to illustrate the work of Natural Resources Wales. So we started off with James Moon, who talked about the work of our marine teams. That was down on the seafront near the Sand Dune project, near the Civic Centre. We then met our integrated workforce teams. They're the manual workers who carry out all the maintenance on our flood defences and undertake work on habitat creation, small construction projects, etc. And we had some of our robotic mowers there for the Public Service Board to have a go with. We crossed the road then and we had a look at some of the green infrastructure that's been created. So they're rain gardens that the City and County of Swansea and Natural Resources Wales have been working on. 2 locations there, one next to the primary school and one just next to the main road, both of which are looking fantastic now. We then moved over to near the courts, where on the wall there's a benchmark which shows the height of the Great Flood previously. So we talked there about the work of our flood defence teams, the work that we do to safeguard people and property, and warn and inform people about flooding. And then we moved over towards Secrets Cafe on the seafront, and we had 3 presenters there. Hamish, who was talking about bathing water quality and what we do in terms of safeguarding members of the public, the water quality assessments that we undertake around Wales. But we also had people from our labs who were doing water quality assessment, sort of a practical hands-on assessment, and Julie, who was showing members of the service board how you can look at insects that live in stream beds to look at water quality. So there was a water quality theme there. So it was a range of sort of practical experiences, ways for members of the service board to get hands-on, have a look at some of the work that we've been doing. And I suppose, even though I organised the event and set it up, the thing that did strike me as we were walking around is just how much collaboration has happened in particular between City and County of Swansea and Natural Resources Wales, but working with other partners as well. It's really positive to see some of those projects happening. I actually think that Swansea leads the way in terms of some of the collaboration that we've done. I guess the challenge for us is taking it beyond those small scale pilot projects now, and how we make those whole scale changes that we need for the future to help us adapt and mitigate against climate change. But yeah, it was hopefully an interesting event for the participants. It was great to see members of the service board, and it was really nice to share some of our work with you.
Thank you, Mark. And it is really heartening to hear the positive partnership working between Swansea Council and NRW. Really welcome your positive comments there. Do members who participated, do you want to make any comments about the Walking in Shoes event? Mark?
Yeah, thanks. Just to echo, well, other Mark's points actually. Just a really good afternoon actually, and I think what really hit home for me was, I think the collaborative examples are really strong in there, but also just by the nature of walking across what was a relatively small part of Swansea, just seeing the integration of all those different steps in the PSB plan all coming into fruition. So thinking about the coast and nature, walking past the primary school, seeing the communities element, looking at the culture and the heritage of the area, it just really came to life. And I think it was really nice to see how the PSB and the wellbeing plans come to life just through that place element, and I could see in the funds element of the PSB grants for next year, looking at how we develop place and placemaking within this. And I think the PSB is a real pivotal role, and the partnerships have a key role in seeing how we do that integration piece and how it all comes together, because I think that's where the real impact takes place, really, when we start to see how it's all connected, really. But yeah, really enjoyable afternoon, and I don't underestimate how much time it took to organise all of that. So thanks again, Mark, for doing all the coordinating of that. Really enjoyable. Thanks.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, Mark.
Yes, thank you very much indeed, Mark. Good to hear those very positive comments, and the fact everything is interconnected, isn't it? So it's good to hear that the Walking in Our Shoes event reflected that as well in the work of the PSB. Anyone else wish to make any comments? No, just to say thank you, Mark, NLW Mark, just to be specific, because we've got 3 Marks on the meeting today. For reflecting on how the session went, and I'm glad it went really well, and I look forward to the next one. I'm not sure who's leading on the next one, but I'm sure we can agree that at the next PSB meeting. Thank you all. So the only thing to note now is in 2 weeks today we will have the Partnership Forum, but our next official Swansea Public Services Board meeting will be held on the 9th of October. Karen.
So I know there's no AOB, but I just wanted to update on the step that Ness was talking about, where she was she had a read on the action about integrating the human rights plan into the health board's plan. I can confirm that has been done. I don't know why you haven't been communicated that, but the human rights plan is fully integrated into our strategic equality plan. So just confirm that can go green now, Ness. So apologies for that, not updating earlier on that.
No, that's excellent news. Thank you, Karen. Good to hear that that's happened. So I will see you no doubt in 2 weeks' time, but the next meeting of this official board will be 9th of October. Thank you all for your work on all the steps. Clearly there's a huge amount of work going on, all very positive and all moving in the right direction, and it's very much appreciated. So I shall see you in a fortnight's time. Thank you all for attending.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.